Welcome to BaseballGuys.com. I'm your host on Around the Horn, Ray Flowers. Big stories in the world of baseball, some trade deadline stuff, and two injuries to fantastic fantasy performers highlight today's edition of Around the Horn. Let's start with Joey Votto. Absolutely spectacular so far this season. The bedrock foundation of the Reds team. A dynamic option in all fantasy. He's hitting 340 on pace for 25 home runs, 90 RBIs, 90 runs scored better, OPS well over 1,000. Guess what, folks? He's going to miss 3 to 4 weeks. He's got a knee issue, relatively minor, we're being told. He's going to have arthroscopic surgery on that. Again, a 3 to 4 week time frame is what the expectation is right now for Joey Votto. Let's hope that's accurate. Let's hope when he comes back he returns in all-star form. It's not a guarantee he's going to do that. Remember, if you're thinking of trading for Joey Votto right now, it's not a lock that when he's back in 3 or 4 weeks that he picks up right where he left off. Crushing news to the Reds. Obviously the same to fantasy leaguers all over the place. And if you're in an NL-only league and you spent $45 to add Joey Votto this year, I'm feeling for you because you're going to be without him for probably up to a month. Now, in the American League, we have another slugger. The guy who leads the circuit in home runs, the guy who's led baseball in home runs the past couple of seasons, Jose Bautista. Now, Bautista was on pace for a third straight year of at least 43 home runs. He was on pace to challenge 50 after hitting 24 home runs in his last 68 games. But he's not going to reach that mark this season, barring something really unforeseen occurring. The reason for that is he took a swing, hit a long fly ball last night, and felt what he said was something pop in his wrist. Now, X-rays show there's no break, so that's one thing that's out of the mix. But the belief is at this point that there's a tendon issue with Jose Bautista. Further tests are being run today to determine the severity of that. They don't believe he ruptured a tendon, which would be obviously a catastrophic injury that could potentially impact the rest of the season. They think it's a strain at this point. Further tests will be run to determine that. Minimum, we're looking at Bautista missing 15 days. He's already been placed on the disabled list. He's out for the rest of July. Let's hope he's back in early August, because if he's not, another pretty catastrophic blow in the fantasy game. How about some good news? Well, if you're the Red Sox, you got some good news. You got Crawford and Jacoby Ellbury back in your lineup together for the first time this season. Ellsbury batting leadoff, Crawford batting second. Ellsbury's looked pretty good since he returned. He's obviously got a little bit more game action under his belt than Crawford does. But Crawford also did some nice things last night for the Red Sox. Now, the two of these guys could be the most dynamic 1-2 punch in baseball if they're both going and giving the full capability of their talent. Obviously, let's slow roll a bit here. We realize these guys haven't played a heck of a lot. Let's give them some time to make sure they're back to that elite level. But this is positive news for the Red Sox. Great news for those of you that waited on either or both of these guys to get healthy enough to play. One final note, Crawford was removed late in the game last night for defensive purposes, and that could happen a little bit because of his elbow. The team might try to protect him a little bit late in games. He might lose an at-bat here or there, but if he's batting at the top of the order instead of at the bottom of the order like the Red Sox mistakenly used him last year, I think obviously that could all equal out. John Axford, one of the better closers in baseball, well, maybe not so much anymore. Now, the strikeout total is dynamic. It's over 12 per 9 innings. The ground ball rate is still very impressive, but the walk rate is over 5 per 9 innings. The ERA is in the 5s. The whip is well over 1.5, and he blew his 6 saves on Monday night. Now there's rumblings that the Brewers might do what they have to do, and that is make a move in the 9th inning. Nothing official has been mentioned. Francisco Rodriguez, K-Rod, is still there. He too has had some blow-ups this year, but it looks like he's going to slowly get his way, nudge his way into the mix here a little bit. Don't know if the Brewers are thinking, we're going to make a switch here completely. But it does make a lot of sense if K-Rod is out there on the waiver wire in your league to investigate picking him up if you've got a dead roster spot, because K-Rod could be getting saves for the Brewers starting possibly as soon as right now. Chase Headley. Yeah, Chase Headley's guy, BaseballGuys.com. Talk about him all the time, write about him all the time. Everyone says, Ray, the guy's no good. And I'll grant you, he doesn't do anything outstanding. And in the fantasy game, we like outstanding trades. But look at what Chase Headley has done this season. He scored more runs than Michael Young. He's got a higher batting average than Ryan Zimmerman. He's driven in more runs than Alex Rodriguez. Oh, and by the way, he's also stolen more bases than David Wright. That's a pretty good group of fourth-third basemen that Chase Headley has outperformed to this point. One of the main reasons why 6 teams are reported to be interested in adding Chase Headley to their mix. Headley's under control, team control for this season, next year, and 2014. So obviously a team acquiring him is going to feel good about some certainty there that they're not going to lose him to the free agency. Chase Headley is not, again, a dynamic player in any sense of the word. But if he was to get out of Petco, flash 20 home run power, which I do think he possesses, while continuing to do everything else that he does, Chase Headley would have a chance to be a bottom level third baseman one, a starter in a 10 or 12 team league at that hot corner position. Keep that in mind. If he's sitting around on your team right now on your bench or on the waiver wire, he's moved, could see a nice little uptick in his production. Couple of quick hitters here. Dan Haren had a back issue. He was, been on the disabled list for the first time in his career with injury. Looked decent the other night in his start in the minor leagues. Expectation is he will return this weekend to the starting rotation to face the Rangers for the Angels. That's good news. Jeff Francis, for those of you in NL-only leagues, 6 straight starts with 3 runs or less allowed. Now, I'm not telling anyone in the mixed league to pick him up because the strikeout rate is not good, and honestly, the skill set's not fantastic. But NL-only leaguers, that's a lot of consistency from a guy that, was waiver wire fodder months ago. Brett Wallace, another guy in NL-only leagues to pay attention to. The Astros making some rumblings that they're going to call him up. Wallace is always hitting the minors, struggled a bit when given a chance in the pros. Right now, Scott Moore is up with the Astros. He does a fair job, but Wallace is obviously a guy that the Astros want to see what he's got going. So Moore's value could very well decrease while Wallace goes up here in the coming months. Matt Harvey of the Mets. Nothing official. Miguel Bautista is still being slated to take Dylan V's spot in the rotation, but a lot of rumors that Matt Harvey could be called up either this week or very soon thereafter. A dynamic young arm is Mr. Harvey. He is definitely someone to pay attention to when he's called up. And then the Justin Upton scenario. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. 2 of the last 3 years, Justin Upton has gone 20-20. I mean, he almost hit 300 last year. He went 30-20 last year, almost 90 RBIs, 100 runs scored. He's controlled for the next 3 seasons at an average of just over $9 million a season. Can't really understand why the Diamondbacks would want to trade a guy like that who's 24 years old. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but they're listening to trade offers for Justin Upton. If he gets traded, I don't anticipate his production going down. I don't anticipate his outlook being negative. Hey, look, I'm very confused why the Diamondbacks would do this. Fantasy-wise, don't worry about Justin Upton. He'll be productive. I fully expect him to have a better second half than he did in the first. I'm Ray Flowers, FaceballGuys.com. Thanks for joining me on Around the Horn, and I will talk to you all again very soon.